The maximum part of excitement here in Aero India 2025 is for fifth generation aircraft. We have Su-57E from Russia and F-35 from US. And as of now, I'm showing you visuals of these American aircraft, F-16 and F-35 as well. You are seeing in these visuals that how these aircrafts have been standing here. In fact, initially there was a buzz that US Air Force is not participating, but now they have come with not these F-16, F-35 aircraft only, but have also got their bomber and refueler as well. This aircraft, this fifth generation aircraft, when we talk about it, so we know that how this is. It's a second arrival here in India. It has participated in a number of conflicts now. In fact, it was first used in Israel, and then recently we have seen that how US has used it against Houthis, and now they have come here with this particular aircraft. This is also one contender as far as fifth generation aircraft for India are concerned, and we know that how defense officials have in fact indicated that options are open for Indian officials and Indian forces as well, because as far as Indian Air Force is concerned, so we know that how delivery of Tejas in fact is delayed, and as of now India needs a fifth generation aircraft. F-35 is a single seat, single engine supersonic stealth fighter that can be used for multiple roles. In fact, it has been designed for both air superiority and strike missions, and in fact it can be used for intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance capabilities. F-35 is one of the advanced fifth generation aircraft in the world today. It can be used for vertical takeoffs. In fact, there are three different categories for F-35. In the F-35B category can be used, in fact, the aircraft can be used for vertical takeoffs. It is the Navy version of the aircraft, and these aircrafts, in fact, are participating here in Aero India in 2025, one of the contenders for the fifth gen aircraft for India. This F-35 has participated this time around in Aero India 2025. The biggest defense and aviation expo, Aero India 2025, has begun here in Bangalore. The event is big with more than 900 exhibitors taking part. We have representation from more than 80 countries. Close to 40 defense ministers from all across the world are taking part, and we have
Hello, Namaskar. This is Firstpost, and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Vantage. We are coming to you from Paris, and behind me is the Grand Palais, an iconic building in this city full of iconic buildings. Yesterday we came here to interview the President of France, Emmanuel Macron. The place was bustling with activity then, all in preparation for today. This is where the Global Artificial Intelligence Summit is happening. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is co-chairing it. We are bracing for 2 days of AI action. Discussions, policy chats, exhibitions, installations, you name it, you'll see it here. The end goal is to shape the future of artificial intelligence, how to regulate it, how to invest in it, and how to use it. Of course, this summit is happening in the middle of DeepSeek mania, so AI geopolitics is also a big issue. We'll be here in Paris tracking all these developments. We'll also be focusing on India-France ties because Prime Minister Modi has a busy schedule here. Right after the summit, he and President Macron are set to announce some big moves. So make sure you tune in throughout the week. We've got a packed show lined up for you tonight. But first, the headlines.
Iran's president accuses Donald Trump of trying to bring the country to its knees. The remarks came as Iran marked the anniversary of the 1979 revolution, which removed a pro-US government in Tehran. Masoud Pezeshkian also said that while Iran is not looking for war, it'll never bow to foreigners. Bangladesh's police cracks down on former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's loyalists, arrests more than 1,300 people in an operation named the Devil Hunt as unrest continues in the South Asian country. Last week, protesters demolished Sheikh Hasina's family home. Last August, protests forced the former Bangladeshi Prime Minister to resign and flee to India. The United Nations accuses Sudan's paramilitary Rapid Support Forces of blocking aid to the war-torn country. Thousands of families have fled from a village in the North Darfur state after an attack which has been blamed on the paramilitary. The RSF has been at war with the Sudanese army since April 2023. Romania's president resigns following pressure to step down ahead of its election rerun. The country's top court had cancelled the presidential elections, which were scheduled in December, over allegations of Russian interference. And nearly all nations missed a UN deadline to submit new targets for slashing carbon emissions. Just 10 of nearly 200 countries required under the Paris Agreement to deliver fresh climate plans by February did so on time.
We are at the biggest gathering of leaders to discuss artificial intelligence. And we are bringing you the biggest interview from here, with the AI Summit host and French President Emmanuel Macron himself. It's an interview that I co-hosted with Laurent Delahousse of France TV. We asked President Macron what he thinks of AI, what it means for the world, for democracy, and how it should be regulated. We also talked about France's relationship with India and whether Paris will ban China's DeepSeek. Here are some excerpts from our conversation. Namaste, Mr. President. How are you doing?
I'm fine. And Bharat ke logon ko meri namaste.
Kya baat hai. Thank you very much. I wanted to know what can we expect in terms of announcements on your partnership with India. And as India and France work together, are you creating a new era of non-alignment in the technology space?
Je pense que la conviction qu'on a avec le Premier ministre
That with Prime Minister Modi, we firmly believe that India and France are two great powers.
Une intimité particulière.
And we have a special relationship.
Nous respectons, nous voulons travailler avec les États-Unis d'Amérique.
We respect and want to work with the US.
La Chine.
We want to work with China, but we want to depend on no one.
Et on a noué d'ailleurs
And
partenariat bilatéral.
we have a bilateral partnership on that
En
basis,
défense
in defense,
de nos marines à nos avions de combat.
with our navies,
Dans
our
la technologie.
fighter planes,
D'ailleurs,
technology,
programme de formation en commun d'ingénieurs.
major engineering training programs.
Une puissance de
India
formation extraordinaire.
is a training
L'Inde forme 1
superpower.
million d'ingénieurs par an.
1 million
C'est-à-dire
engineers a
autant que
year.
toute l'Europe et les
So
États-Unis d'Amérique.
more than all of Europe and the US combined. So we have that partnership.
Un partenariat en matière
3, we have
d'écologie et d'économie.
a partnership on the environment and the economy. With Mr. Modi, we launched the International Solar Alliance to develop solar energy in our countries and in the world. We also have civilian nuclear programs. So it's a very deep-seated conviction that we want to be independent. That doesn't mean we want to be isolated, but we want to have technologies and partners that we can trust without dependencies.
Mr. President, the thing is that a lot of technology is being thrown into the market and governments are very keen to be on board. As you said, we want to be part of the race. But who is creating guardrails? Who is making sure that this is not causing harm? Because there is real
Moi, je
harm being
pense que
caused.
I
ma conviction,
think
c'est que ça doit se faire par une
that
régulation mondiale.
there should be
Il faut pas
global
qu'on la-
regulation.
qu'on régule simplement dans un endroit.
I
Cette-
think we
cette
shouldn't
innovation est
regulate
mondiale
things only
par des
locally because the
partenariats
innovation
aussi
is
entre
global. We
les
need
acteurs privés et
partnerships
publics.
between private
Et
and
donc
public
que les bons
stakeholders
comportements émergent.
and
Et donc,
that
typiquement,
the
ce que
right
nous
behaviors are
que
encouraged.
les
So
acteurs disent quand c'est une
I think
création par
that
l'intelligence
people should
artificielle.
say when something has
Par
been
exemple,
created by
pour ce qui est de
AI.
l'information, qu'il y ait en
That's
effet,
why
qu'on
I
impose
think
progressivement,
that
mais qu'on les engage,
gradually
que les acteurs privés,
we
les
need to
acteurs
make
publics
sure that public and private players
recontextualisent tout ça, en quelque sorte, et disent,
recontextualize all of
ceci, c'est de
this
l'intelligence
and that they say
artificielle,
very
ceci, ça
clearly
n'en est
this
pas.
is AI and this is not.
Et donc, c'est-
If
son
you're
droit
able
d'auteur,
to
sa
use it
création
and
sera
say
protégé.
that you did,
Qu'un
that's
journaliste
a
puisse
good
utiliser
thing and you should
l'intelligence
protect
artificielle
intellectual
peut être
property,
clair
but
pour
they
nous
need
tous.
to be
Mais
clear
sinon,
that
on
they
rentre
did.
dans un
Are
monde
you,
de
are
demi-vérité.
you putting the onus of that censorship or regulation on the people, just like you did with social media, that they need to do this?
I think that it needs to be governments around the world who do it voluntarily. But you know, tomorrow, who will be here? There will be political powers, but there'll also be tech players, and they've become states in their own right, in a way. Why was it so hard for social media to regulate social media? What would these people say? They would say, no, we don't want to regulate. And look what's happening in the US. You're right, and that's a challenge. What's the challenge for Europe? We all agree with what you're saying, but if you regulate before you innovate, then there's no innovation. You can say we have great regulation in Europe, but we don't have innovation. But sometimes a ban is not the answer. Yes, if we do that, we won't innovate, and that's the problem. So don't ban, but do regulate.
Social media today is safer because they have removed fact checkers. So with all of that, you've done.
Now you're talking about something a little different. One, we manage what we call the golden hour, which means that within 1 hour we can remove terrorist content. In Europe, we have a regulation, we have done it, we have implemented it, and it's going to change, right? Yes, in Europe, platforms have a responsibility when they disseminate hate, anti-Semitism or racism. But the US is not doing it. The Chinese are not doing it. India is still thinking about it. So actually, we're at the cutting edge in Europe. And we are trying to push for moderation. But you are right, that platforms said, we don't want to moderate. That's politics. We're all about free speech. Well, they're wrong. Why are they wrong? Because behind social media and in AI too, there are algorithms, and these algorithms help you do incredible things, but they always have biases, and so they need to be transparent so that you can verify them. And they need to be transparent for all. All that to say that there's a huge challenge, a huge regulatory challenge.
I wanted to ask you, are you going to ban Chinese AI in France?
Well, I don't think that it makes sense to ban a technology because of where it comes from. That's not our approach. But for all the technology all around the world, where it doesn't come from Europe, we look into it carefully if our sovereignty is at stake. We've done it in the past for technology. So we don't have this American approach of banning tech because of where it comes from, but we will think about whether we can accept non-European technology for critical sectors. Here's an example, telecoms.
It's a yes or no question. It's a yes or
no
no
question.
Well, no, we're not going to ban them today. So, yes or no, 60 seconds, it's going to be very short. Let's go. I'll ask the first question. Is AI already a threat for our democracy?
Oui ou non?
Oui. Yes.
Which country is France's most important partner in Asia?
Je dirais l'Inde.
India.
Do
you manage your own social media accounts?
Je regarde.
I might look, but I don't manage.
What is your favorite way to address people? Tweets, TikToks, or the good old press conference?
Ça dépend desquels.
Well, it depends.
Comme ça.
This is the best. Is Elon Musk's X a tool for propaganda or information?
C'est un réseau social, ni l'un ni l'autre.
It's social media. It's neither one nor the other.
Mais surtout pas un lieu d'information.
But it's not for information.
One word to describe your equation with Prime Minister Modi.
Amitié.
Friendship. One word to define your relationship with Donald Trump?
Respect.
Respect.
France, AI dominating the world, or France winning the next World Cup? What do you want?
Les deux.
Les deux.
Both.
Est-ce que vous utilisez encore, Monsieur le Président,
And do you still use the Strava app for running? I never used it. It was people running around you? I think people were using it for their own running. But don't worry, my security is fine. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Palki, for being with us. It was such a pleasure and an honor to be with you this evening.
Fantastic. The pleasure is all mine.
Namaste. Merci beaucoup. Merci à vous.
Thank you.
So those are President Macron's priorities, his vision for artificial intelligence, but can he sell it to other world leaders and businessmen? That is the question that everyone is asking, and we'll have an answer by tomorrow, hopefully. That's when this Global AI Summit will wrap up. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's focus on today's agenda. This is the third global summit on artificial intelligence. The first two were hosted by Britain and South Korea. This one has two co-chairs, France and India. The focus is on regulation, geopolitics and practical applications. We visited the summit venue earlier today. Just like the whole city, it's got a different buzz about it. Less of history, more of future now. Take a look.
Welcome to Paris. Welcome to the Grand Palais. Welcome to the AI Action Summit.
And it's underway. The third global summit on artificial intelligence, this time in Paris. Dozens of world leaders and CEOs are gathering here. They have come from more than 100 countries. And their goal? To shape the future of AI. From India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is here. He is co-chairing the summit with French President Macron. From the US, Donald Trump is not making the trip, but his Vice President J.D. Vance has already reached Paris. And from China, Xi Jinping has dispatched his Vice Premier. So attendance is quite impressive. This is where the AI Summit is being held, at the 125-year-old Grand Palais. When it was built back in 1900, it was dedicated to what they call the glory of French arts. The idea was to showcase France's leadership in the realm of fine arts. Now, more than a century later, France is hoping to show leadership in a different realm, that of artificial intelligence. President Macron is hoping to pitch a third way forward in AI, one that is different from Chinese and American models. Now, looking at the guest list, one thing is clear. Macron has managed to bring the people who matter to the same table. The question is, can he get them on the same page as well? A big tech delegation is also here. Leading it is Google Sundar Pichai and OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. The rapid growth of AI has largely been driven by these private firms. So if you want to shape AI, you need tech bosses. Today is day one of the summit. It focuses on conferences and roundtables, mostly the civil society part of the event. Then tomorrow is the big day, the summit of the heads of state and government. That's when leaders will get down to the key details. These summits are a reflection of how our approach to AI has changed over the years. The first one was in Britain, where the mood was dull and the tone was alarmist. It was all about setting up guardrails and checking the expansion of AI without regulation. And almost all countries present there signed that joint deal. The second summit was in South Korea, where we saw some divisions. The US and its allies signed a joint deal. India and China were not part of it. And in this third summit in Paris, the divisions are starker and deeper, and the shadow of ChatGPT versus DeepSeek and America versus China looms large over the meeting. Expect the geopolitics of AI to dominate talks. Until now, it's been a race between China and America. But President Macron wants to join it. He wants to offer an alternative to those two models. Beyond that, there are two areas of focus. The first is on sustainable AI. You need swarms of data centers to train and operate these models. Most of them, especially in the US, run on oil and gas. It's an issue that has raised concerns here. Today we saw climate activists demonstrating in the city. They were calling for clean data centers.
Data centers, which are the backbone of AI, use a lot of electricity and a lot of energy. And there's a big question in Europe of how they're going to be powered. Are they going to be powered by fossil fuels or by renewable energy?
Macron has promised to raise this issue tomorrow. The second area of focus is the practical applications of artificial intelligence in fields like medicine, education and transport. Macron's envoy says, forget the science fiction around AI, focus on concrete applications.
It is high time that we move from science fiction to the real world of applications of AI. With its unprecedented potential, artificial intelligence fuels both immense hopes and, at times, exaggerated fear. Today, you will be able, here at the Grand Palais, to see concrete applications and use cases of AI.
To this end, a new project is being planned. Current AI, a public-private partnership between dozens of countries. It will have $400 million in initial funding. Its mission is to expand AI usage by investing in open source AI tools and by giving access to high quality data sets. This initiative will get some applause, but it won't be enough. All eyes will be on the joint statement. Parts of it have been leaked to the press already, and AI experts are not happy. They say the regulations and guardrails are not enough. Plus, reports say the US may not sign on. Most of the statement was drafted under Joe Biden's presidency, so Donald Trump is not keen on it. Such divisions could hamper this Paris meeting. We are racing against the clock to regulate artificial intelligence before it becomes too powerful. We cannot afford to burn opportunities like this. It's not just about regulation. A big factor in AI is cost. How much money do we need to operate artificial intelligence models? Earlier, the consensus was clear, billions and billions of dollars, that's what you needed. But China's DeepSeek has upended that trend. Suddenly, everyone is talking about cheap AI. And that includes Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. He says the cost of AI usage is coming down considerably by almost 10 times every year. We'll explain what he's talking about, but first some basics. We can divide AI costs into three. The first is setting up the hardware, your data centers, your chips and other facilities, that is the hardware. The second is training your model, basically feeding data into it. And finally, the cost of using it. How much will each operation cost you? That is what the world has to figure out. Sam Altman was talking about this last cost, the cost of using AI models. In these models, information is broken down into what they call tokens. Think of them as pieces of words. Most tokens include 4 English characters. For example, consider the sentence, ChatGPT is great. So the word chat is a token, G is a token, PT is a token, and so is great. That is how tokens work, roughly. Users like you and me do not really have to care about it, but say you're integrating ChatGPT into your office or you're licensing their AI interface, then you must pay for these tokens. Look at their prices in 2023. Around $0.03 for 1,000 tokens. That's what it cost. Now look at the prices in 2024. $5 per million tokens. Do you see the drop in price here within a year? And this is just for ChatGPT's AI system. Every AI platform has a different rate structure. Google's Gemini will have its own prices. France's Mistral will be different. You can choose based on the cost and your needs. Now let's come back to Sam Altman and what he said. He says the cost of these tokens is falling 10 times every year, meaning it could be dirt cheap down the line. And cheaper AI equals more usage. More companies will be encouraged to integrate artificial intelligence. That's what OpenAI is predicting at least. And remember, this is the cost of using an AI model. The cost of creating one is a lot higher. You need a lot of expensive components like data centers to collect and store information, high-tech chips to train the models, and of course, skilled employees. American companies are leading this spending spree at the moment. In 2024, 4 of them invested $223 billion. That's Meta, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. Now imagine that, 4 companies, more than $200 billion. But this year, they're expected to surpass that. From $223 billion to $325 billion. This is mind-boggling investment into one technology. And what about China's DeepSeek? Did they also invest such eye-watering amounts? Well, in China, you can never be sure. One estimate suggests that they spent $1.6 billion. That's a lot of money, but still lower than American firms, which brings us to the final cost, the cost of training your own AI model. Again, let's look at the numbers. Google's Gemini used around $191 million. OpenAI's ChatGPT, or GPT-4 in fact, took around $63 million. GPT-3 cost around $4.6 million and DeepSeek around $6 million. At least that's what they claim publicly. Now, all these numbers make 2 trends very clear. One, AI investment is rising. The earlier AI models could be trained for cheap, but more advanced models will cost more money, of course, billions of dollars for sure. And second, the cost of using AI is coming down. meaning there is an incentive to adopt it more widely. These trends pose a dilemma for countries like India. Do we adopt existing AI models or do we splurge on making our own? That is the question. Western firms are betting on the latter. They want more players to use their AI models. Only then will they get returns on their massive investments. For now, New Delhi's position is quite clear. It wants to create its own homegrown AI model. It doesn't want to depend on the likes of ChatGPT and DeepSeek. Of course, there's a bigger question to ask here as well. Where does the spending spree stop? Frankly, no one knows. One possible goal could be artificial general intelligence, or AGI. This is an AI that can mimic human intelligence. Perhaps that is the goal. Or maybe to create an Arnold Schwarzenegger-style robot. Who knows? This is very different from the last century space race. When America landed on the moon, the space race was virtually settled. What is that moon landing moment for AI? How many billions before we reach that? Perhaps this summit will have some answers. Our next story is from the United States. Their President Donald Trump has been heavily criticized recently for his proposal to take over the Gaza Strip and turn it into the new Riviera. No one except Israel seems to be on board with this plan, but that has not deterred Trump. In fact, he is doubling down.
Committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices. But we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place is a demolition site. It'll be, the remainder will be demolished. Everything's demolished. I mean, you can't live in those buildings right now. They're very unsafe. But we'll make it into a very good site for future development by somebody. We'll let other countries develop parts of it. It'll be beautiful. People can come from all over the world and live there.
Now, I've said it before, you can't take the real estate developer out of Donald Trump. That's a core part of his DNA. But to call Gaza a very good site for future development is going a bit too far. Trump is sweeping aside the demand for a Palestinian homeland. He's completely ignoring their history. You may have heard the story of the Palestinian Key. In 1948, Palestinians began getting displaced from all over present-day Israel. This is known as the Nakba. That's Arabic for catastrophe. This happened 77 years ago. Palestinian families were forced to leave their homes and never allowed to return. But they still carry the keys to their old houses, waiting for the day they will go back. Palestinians still do this today. They still carry their old keys. That's how deep-rooted their ties to their land is. But Trump thinks that he can uproot them from Gaza. What will this possibly lead to? Except for more keys being carried around, worn as symbols of resistance. Trump's proposal will most likely cause more instability, no matter how much it impressed Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu is, of course, thrilled with the suggestion. He wants the US to, quote-unquote, buy and own Gaza. He says it is much better for Israel than any other proposal. And of course he would say that because the US is Israel's closest ally and Trump is proposing a new US colony at Netanyahu's doorstep instead of the existing hub for Palestinian descent. So, of course, Netanyahu wants Trump to take over Gaza, turn it into the new Guam, but with condos and a brand new Trump golf course, probably. Israel would be more than happy with this, a return to old-school American expansionism. Gaza is not the only place at risk of this, though. You know about Trump's other ambitions, his desire to buy Greenland from Denmark and take back the Panama Canal. Trump has made no secret of this. But there's another place that feels it is at risk, and that is America's maple-chugging neighbor to the north, Canada. Trump has been teasing this for a while. He has seemingly joked about making Canada the 51st state of America, of the US. But apparently Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is taking this quite seriously. Trudeau had a hot mic moment on Friday while talking to Canadian business leaders. This is what he said.
Mr. Trump has it in mind that one of the easiest ways of doing it is absorbing our country. And it is a real thing. In my conversation with him,
Trudeau said that Trump's 51st state rhetoric is, quote unquote, the real thing. He thinks that Trump is dead serious about acquiring Canada and he wants to find a way out of the situation. Trump was asked about Trudeau's hot mic moment. He was asked if absorbing Canada was indeed a real thing. And this is what Donald Trump said, and I'm quoting, "Yeah, it is. I think Canada would be much better off being a 51st state because we lose $200 billion a year with Canada, and I'm not going to let that happen. It is too much. Why are we paying $200 billion a year essentially in subsidy to Canada? Now, if they're a 51st state, I don't mind doing it." Trump says the U.S. is subsidizing Canada to the tune of $200 billion every year. He's talking about the U.S. trade deficit with Canada. The U.S. imports more than it sells to its northern neighbor, so it runs a deficit with Canada. Trump thinks of this as a subsidy. And he doesn't want to pay it anymore unless, of course, Canada joins the U.S. That way, the U.S. gets control of Canada's natural resources. It won't have to buy them anymore. Just invest in extraction. That is the 51st state subsidy that Trump is implying. Again, it is classic imperialism. Conquer resource-rich land instead of buying goods from the locals. Couple this rhetoric with Trump's Gaza plan and his dreams about Greenland and the Panama Canal. It feels like we've gone back to 1825, the age of colonialism, of gunboat diplomacy, resource capture, and forced displacement. We've seen this play out before, and it left scars that haven't healed in generations. Trump's desires threaten to inflict those wounds on the earth once again.
One of the highlights of the 15th edition of Aero India that has been organized here in Bangalore is the participation of a fifth generation aircraft from both Russia and America. In fact, I'm showing you the visuals of Su-57E, that is the fifth generation fighter aircraft from Russia. There you have visuals. It is for the first time that the aircraft has come to India. And we have seen the pitch where Russia has in fact proposed a deal to purchase the aircraft from Russia, where they have in fact said that they are going to help India in jointly produce the aircrafts here in India. I'm showing you these visuals where this is for the very first time when this war-tested fifth generation aircraft has come to India. In fact, there was a lot of buzz whether or not India is considering these aircrafts for Indian Air Force. And yesterday we saw that how the defense officials in fact clarified that they can go for the options available in future, given the fact that they are also looking to bridge the gap that we have because of the delayed deliveries of Tejas. In fact, these are the visuals. Once again, if I can show you the visuals. In fact, Pramod Saklani is giving you these shots where you are seeing the fifth generation fighter aircraft from Russia that has got the maximum takeoff weight of 34,000 kgs. Maximum speed is 2 Mach, and in fact the service ceiling of 18,800 meters. We have 12 hard points in this particular aircraft. This has got stealth capability, super maneuverability, and in fact a lot of advanced features. At this point in time, this is one of the most advanced aircraft in the entire world. And in fact, when we talk about the different scenarios, so this aircraft has been tested in the war that is ongoing. This is for the very first time when Su-57E has come here in India, and these are the visuals from the 15th edition of Aero India that has been organized here in Bangalore. The maximum part of excitement here in Aero India 2025 is for fifth generation aircraft. We have Su-57E from Russia and F-35 from US. And as of now, I'm showing you visuals of these American aircraft, F-16 and F-35 as well. You are seeing in these visuals that how these aircrafts have been standing here. In fact, initially there was a buzz that US Air Force is not participating, but now they have come with not these F-16, F-35 aircraft only, but have also got their bomber and refueler as well. This aircraft, this fifth generation aircraft, when we talk about it, so we know that how this is its second arrival here in India. It has participated in a number of conflicts now. In fact, it was first used in Israel, and then recently we have seen that how US has used it against Houthis, and now they have come here with this particular aircraft. This is also one contender as far as fifth generation aircraft for India are concerned, and we know that how defense officials have in fact indicated that options are open for Indian officials and Indian forces as well, because as far as Indian Air Force is concerned, so we know that how delivery of Tejas in fact is delayed, and as of now India needs a fifth generation aircraft. F-35 is a single seat, single engine supersonic stealth fighter that can be used for multiple roles. In fact, it has been designed for both air superiority and strike missions, and in fact it can be used for intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance capabilities. F-35 is one of the advanced fifth generation aircraft in the world today. It can be used for
Donald Trump's expansionism may still take a while. For now, it is just a pipe dream, but there are other ways that he can reshape the world, and one of them is tariffs. The US president is reshaping global supply chains with the stroke of his pen. His latest targets are steel and aluminium.
And just on the steel question, just so I understand.
We'll also be announcing steel tariffs on Monday.
On this tomorrow?
Monday, yeah, tomorrow.
What countries will those go on?
Everybody. Steel.
Including Canada and Mexico?
Yeah. Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum too.
10%?
25%.
25 for aluminum?
25 for both.
Trump made that announcement while aboard Air Force One. That's the US president's jet. Trump says he will impose tariffs on all the steel and aluminium coming into the United States of America, including from Canada and Mexico. Now, you may remember the last threat. Last week, he was going to put blanket tariffs on Canada and Mexico, but he stopped at the last minute after both countries assured him that they would increase their border patrols to stop migrants and drugs from going into the US. So President Trump postponed the blanket tariffs by a month, but it seems he's making an exception for steel and aluminium. He wants to protect America's domestic steel and aluminium industries, make imports more expensive so that local suppliers become more competitive. And he's done this before, during his first term. Back then, he put a 25% tariff on steel imports and 10% on aluminium. So this looks like part of his old playbook. Last time around, he eventually made exceptions. He removed the tariffs from Canada, Mexico and Brazil. He set duty-free quotas for these countries, but not for everyone. The European Union, Britain and Japan all dealt with tariffs on the metals throughout Trump's first term as president. They were only rescinded once Joe Biden took office. So the play seems simple enough. If countries want duty-free exports to the US, they need to negotiate a new trade deal with President Donald Trump or wait until he's out of office. It seems Trump is using his tariffs as a bargaining chip. It is the proverbial stick approach. There's another example of him weaponizing tariffs to get a better deal.
Yeah, I'll be announcing probably Tuesday or Wednesday at a news conference reciprocal tariffs, and very simply, it's if they charge us, we charge them. That's all.
When does it go into effect, sir?
Almost immediately, but I'll be announcing the details of it, highly detailed, and it'll be great for everybody, including the other countries. But if they are charging us 130% and we're charging them nothing, it's not going to stay that way.
This is on every country?
Every country will be reciprocal, that's right.
Mr. President, can you confirm that
It won't affect everybody because there are some where we have similar tariffs. But the ones that are taking advantage of the United States, we're going to have it's reciprocity, it's reciprocal. We're going to have a reciprocal tariff. But we'll have a news conference Tuesday or Wednesday.
Trump is planning to announce reciprocal tariffs. He explained it simply enough. If anyone has tariffs on US goods, they get slapped with counter tariffs. Even though it's simple, Trump's plan caused havoc. The Indian rupee opened at an all-time low against the US dollar. People are worried about what this means for India. The 130% tariff quip is not an exaggeration here. India recently got rid of its highest tariff slabs, 150%, 125%, 100%. Now, the highest rate is 70%. Now, it is 70%. The triple-digit tariffs made for bad optics, even though they were only imposed on a bare minimum of goods. But India got rid of them anyway. That should help soften the blow of reciprocal tariffs in case Trump chooses to target India. And that is why there are jitters about the Indian rupee and other currencies too, like the South Korean won, the Canadian dollar and the euro. But we'll have to wait for a while to get all the details. As of now, it's all speculation. And there's also another thing to consider here. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is headed to the US this week. He's set to meet Donald Trump in person. So who knows? Perhaps there is a deal on the cards. As the Paris AI Summit draws world leaders and tech CEOs, one of the biggest faces in the world of technology is missing. I am talking about Elon Musk, the so-called White House special government employee. He's not in Paris because he's busy shaking up the US federal structure. He is on a sweeping mission to root out waste in the government, to slash the size of the federal workforce, and now he's taking aim at the largest federal department, the Pentagon. Essentially their defense ministry. President Donald Trump has pushed Musk into the Pentagon. The billionaire is expected to lead an audit and find billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. This is not without criticism and controversy, of course, but Trump and Musk remain undeterred. Here is a report.
The world's richest man is on a budget-slashing mission. We're talking about billionaire Elon Musk, fondly known by the White House as a special government employee. He's trying to shrink the federal bureaucracy and root out waste in the government. In the first 3 weeks of the new Trump administration, Musk's team has inserted itself into at least 17 federal agencies. And now, the Tesla CEO is all set to bulldoze into the largest federal department, the Pentagon. US President Donald Trump has instructed him to do so. He wants Musk to hold a Pentagon audit, and the expectations are high. Trump says that he expects Musk to find billions of dollars in Pentagon waste. He says, "We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse." The Pentagon's budget is approaching $1 trillion per year, and leaders have long criticized this across the political spectrum. They've called it wasteful and inefficient. And while they support cost-cutting at the Pentagon, they believe Musk's way is not the ideal way. And there are 3 reasons why. First, experts say that Musk's Department of Government Efficiency lacks the expertise to restructure the Pentagon. Secondly, in doing so, Musk may risk exposing classified programs. You see, amid the budget-slashing initiatives, his aides have sought access to confidential information in computers at various government agencies. Critics say these efforts are most likely illegal, which enable DOJ to gut entire agencies without congressional approval and without the right precautions to maintain privacy. But that's not all. There's a third reason why experts fear that Musk may not be the ideal person to handle the Pentagon budget cut. There is a significant conflict of interest. Musk's companies hold major contracts with the Pentagon. The Defense Department relies on Musk to get most of its satellites into space. There are contracts worth billions of dollars with SpaceX and other companies that he owns. So experts say that sending Musk into the Pentagon creates a clear conflict of interest. Yet, neither Trump nor Musk seem to be deterred. They are going ahead with the budget cutting, personnel purging, and bromance repairing. Over the past few days, there have been reports about possible friction between the president and his sidekick. But maybe that's not all true. Because now, amid heavy criticism, Trump has defended the action of Musk's team, claiming that he's very proud of this group of young people and the purge mission they're pursuing. They are doing it at his insistence. He added that Elon is doing a tremendous job. And that may be, but some experts worry if he should be doing it at all.
Aero India 2025 has officially kicked off. It is the largest air show in Asia. If you like aviation, it's like Disneyland or Comic-Con. You've got military transport planes, lethal fighter jets, advanced helicopters, all of them under one single roof, or rather, air base. The Yelahanka Air Base in Bengaluru, that is where the event is happening. This is the 15th edition of Aero India. It's also the biggest in its history. Over 900 exhibitors are part of this air show. 150 of them are foreign firms. They come from nearly 90 different countries. If you sell or buy planes, this is the place to be. It's the ultimate aviation show, or as India's defense minister called it, a Mahakumbh of research and innovation.
मैं समझता हूं कि एरो इंडिया के रूप में आज से भारत में एक और महाकुंभ का प्रारंभ हो रहा है, जहां एक तरफ प्रयागराज का महाकुंभ आत्मसंधान का कुंभ है, तो वहीं दूसरी तरफ एरो इंडिया का यह महाकुंभ अनुसंधान का कुंभ है.
This event is key for two reasons. One, to showcase India's homegrown defense equipment, and two, to get a feel of foreign technology, maybe even make deals. You see, the Indian government has an ambitious target. It wants to export arms worth 30,000 crore rupees, which is around $3.4 billion. And to do that, India's defense makers need exposure. Enter Aero India. 35 Indian companies are taking part this time. They're looking to flaunt their technology. For example, India's Tejas jet. We're looking to sell this plane to other countries, so we need to market it well. Yesterday, India's service chiefs took the lead. The Air Force and Army chiefs flew sorties on a Tejas jet. Take a look at this first. The event runs throughout this week, so expect more such demonstrations. But like all exhibitions, there is that one showstopper, that one major attraction. In Bengaluru, that's fifth-generation fighter jets. These are the most advanced jets in operation. They have stealth features, advanced avionics, and integrated computers. Basically, the gold standard of fighter jets. Two of them are at Aero India. Russia's Su-57 and America's F-35 Lightning. It's like Superman and Iron Man together at Comic-Con. Both of them are eyeing buyers. You see, China already has a fifth-generation fighter jet. They're also mulling selling it to Pakistan. So India needs a jet of its own, perhaps the F-35 or the Su-57. Hence, this showdown at the Bengaluru Air Base. And it's never happened before. The F-35 and the Su-57 have never been at the same event. They have never shared an airstrip. But in India, they're doing it. It tells you how sweetly India is placed. The jet story does not end here, though. India is making its own fifth-generation fighter plane, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. Its full-scale model has been unveiled at Aero India. It's our first sneak peek of this plane. The jet is designed by India's DRDO, the Defence Research and Development Organization, that is DRDO. It will be manufactured by HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. So it is a completely government-managed operation. The only problem is the timeline here. These Indian jets won't be ready until the mid-2030s. We cannot wait until then for a fifth-gen plane, which is why Russia and the US are wooing India. They sense an opportunity to strike gold. Our next story involves Hamas. Some of their officials ended up very far from home recently. They were spotted in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. They'd been invited by two terrorist groups, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Toiba. The Hamas officials were apparently there as chief guests to observe what Pakistan calls Kashmir Solidarity Day. Now, obviously, this raises an alarm. Hamas orchestrated a terror attack on October 7, 2023. It set off the bloodbath in Gaza. Now, after a ceasefire is finally in place there, Hamas is popping up in POK. To what end? Why are the JEM and LET buttering up Hamas, and should India be concerned? Here's our report.
Every year on February 5th, Pakistan celebrates Kashmir Solidarity Day. It's a national holiday there. A way for Pakistan's government and establishment to distract from their regular failures and instead flog a dead horse. To rile up public anger towards India and stem legitimate public grievances against Islamabad and Rawalpindi. But this gimmick hasn't been working very well over the last few years. People in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Pakistan proper have been protesting regularly. The cynical use of Kashmir has been less effective of late, so Pakistan's ruling class decided to up their game. They decided to call in the cavalry, which apparently means a Hamas envoy based in Iran. Pakistan invited a Hamas official, Khalid al-Kadhimi, this year to be the chief guest at a Kashmir Solidarity Day event in POK. Al-Kadhimi was given a red carpet welcome. He met with mainstream Pakistani politicians like Fazlur Rahman, an MP and the chief of Pakistan's Jamaat-ul-Ulema-e-Islam party. After the mainstream welcome, the Hamas envoy caroused with far more cutthroat figures. On February 5th, Al-Kadhimi was seen surrounded by terrorists from the Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. This includes figures like Tala Saif, the brother of UN-designated terrorist Masood Azhar. Very interesting company for Hamas, a group that insists they are not terrorists. This is a line that much of the world accepts. India, for example, has not designated Hamas as a terror group. But as they say, the company you keep defines you. So, hobnobbing with JEM and LET is the easiest way for Hamas to fall afoul of India's security agencies. Now, why would a random Hamas member, not their leader, not their political bureau chief, but a random Hamas envoy to Iran, why would he find his way to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir? What purpose would that serve? Well, think about it in terms of Pakistan's terror activities. The Pakistani establishment needs constant recruits, people it can hoodwink into becoming terrorists. For that, the establishment needs to inspire people. Hamas's attack on October 7th led to the decimation of Gaza, but the recent ceasefire is being portrayed as a victory because Israel pulled out of the enclave. This is the narrative being built. And then cynically used to inspire more terror attacks. At least that's what Pakistan's establishment seems to want to do. Hopefully the people see through this and opt for a better path, a path towards peace in Kashmir and beyond.
And now let's shift our focus to Paris again, where leaders are discussing how to safely embrace artificial intelligence. But at the same time, they're confronted with challenges as well. In our conversation with the French president, we spoke about this, about the slew of deepfakes of Macron being posted online. But he's hardly the only leader in this club. Now there are AI deepfakes of the Italian defense minister. They are impersonating his voice and scamming the nation's biggest tycoons. So AI deepfakes are a very real problem. Why are they everywhere? What are the consequences of this? Can they be regulated? Here is a report.
Rich or poor, it seems we are all equal in the eyes of AI scams. Just ask Italy's business elite, like fashion designer Giorgio Armani, former Inter Milan owner Massimo Moratti, Prada co-founder Patrizio Bertelli, and members of the billionaire Beretta and Menarini families. They have been roiled by an artificial intelligence scam. Here's how the scam unfolded. The tycoons get a phone call, but on the other end is an AI-generated voice mimicking Italian Defense Minister Guido Crosetto and some of his staff. This voice asks the victims to wire millions of dollars to overseas bank accounts, usually to a Hong Kong-based bank which they are told is to help pay ransoms to free Italian journalists kidnapped in West Asia. It is quite the elaborate scheme, and it has been going on for a while now. But Crosetto only found out about it this week when he received a call from a friend, a supposed big businessman, asking why Crosetto's secretary had phoned to ask for his mobile number. Crosetto told him that it was absurd, but that's when alarm bells started ringing and he realized that a scam is underway. Now, it is unclear whether the minister's voice was altered from a pre-recorded message or whether a filter was created with AI that can allow scammers to modify the minister's voice in real time. So there are a lot of questions. And an investigation is underway. But one thing is clear. Crosetto is hardly political leader bearing the brunt of AI risks. Recently, Thailand's Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra was targeted by an AI phone scam. She got a voice message. On the other end was the voice of a famous world leader. Soon after, she got a call from the same number and another voice message. It was the same world's leader's voice, asking her for a donation. But the message was so rude, Shinawatra realized that something was amiss, and she was right, it wasn't a world leader on the other end of the call, it was a scammer using AI to replicate a voice. While such AI scams are a major security risk, this is not the only way the technology can hurt political leaders. French President Emmanuel Macron shared this montage recently. It showcases a series of AI deepfakes of the leader. He is dancing, rapping, and sporting funky haircuts. This may seem like fun and games, but it is serious business. AI deepfakes can be a creative and crucial tool if used responsibly and legally, but they can also do immense harm. In fact, 2,700 spam calls are placed every second the world over, and most of them are AI calls. Plus, there are threats of being hacked and surveilled with AI deepfakes because without regulation, both globally and locally, mimicking a country's defense minister's voice is just tip of the AI harm iceberg.
One of the highlights of the 15th edition of Aero India that has been organized here in Bangalore is the participation of a fifth generation aircraft from both Russia and America. In fact, I'm showing you the visuals of Su-57E, that is the fifth generation fighter aircraft from Russia. There you have visuals. It is for the first time that the aircraft has come to India. And we have seen the pitch where Russia has in fact proposed a deal to purchase the aircraft from Russia, where they have in fact said that they are going to help India in jointly produce the aircrafts here in India. I'm showing you these visuals where this is for the very first time when this war-tested fifth generation aircraft has come to India. In fact, there was a lot of buzz whether or not India is considering these aircrafts for Indian Air Force. And yesterday, we saw that how the defense officials in fact clarified that they can go for the options available in future, given the fact that they are also looking to bridge the gap that we have because of the delayed deliveries of Tejas. In fact, these are the visuals. Once again, if I can show you the visuals. In fact, Pramod Saklani is giving you these shots where you are seeing the fifth generation fighter aircraft from Russia that has got the maximum takeoff weight of 34,000 kgs. Maximum speed is 2 Mach, and in fact the service ceiling of 18,800 meters. We have 12 hard points in this particular aircraft. This has got stealth capability, super maneuverability, and in fact a lot of advanced features. At this point in time, this is one of the most advanced aircraft in the entire world. And in fact, when we talk about the different scenarios, so this aircraft has been tested in the war that is ongoing. This is for the very first time when Su-57E has come here in India, and these are the visuals from the 15th edition of Aero India that has been organized here in Bangalore. The maximum part of excitement here in Aero India 2025 is for fifth generation aircraft. We have Su-57E from Russia and F-35 from US. And as of now, I'm showing you visuals of these American aircraft, F-16 and F-35 as well. You are seeing in these visuals that how these aircrafts have been standing here. In fact, initially there was a buzz that US Air Force is not participating, but now they have come with not these F-16, F-35 aircraft only, but have also got their bomber and refueler as well. This aircraft, this fifth generation aircraft, when we talk about it, so we know that how this is. It's a second arrival here in India. It has participated in a number of conflicts now. In fact, it was first used in Israel, and then recently we have seen that how US has used it against Houthis, and now they have come here with this particular aircraft. This is also one contender as far as fifth generation aircraft for India are concerned, and we know that how defense officials have in fact indicated that options are open for Indian officials and Indian forces as well, because as far as Indian Air Force is concerned, so we know that how delivery of Tejas in fact is delayed, and as of now India needs a fifth generation aircraft. F-35 is a single seat, single engine, supersonic stealth fighter that can be used for multiple roles. It has
And now it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. In northwest China, temperatures gradually rise, cracking the ice on a frozen lake. In Australia, people flock to view the corpse flower bloom, which smells like decaying flesh. And in Poland, a pair of rare black wolves are caught on camera. And we are leaving you on that note from a very cold Paris afternoon. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hello and welcome to the late night edition with me Ayushman Singh Jamwal. On the top of the bulletin, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Paris for his 4-day visit to France and the United States, where he will hold talks with both Presidents Emmanuel Macron as well as Donald Trump. He received a rousing welcome from the Indian diaspora, who sang Modi Ki Guarantee, giving a grand welcome to the Prime Minister in Paris. Listen in.